Well, hey there, diet disruptors. Carrie here, and we are going to dig in today to something that we've been talking a lot about with our members. And I just was convicted to say, this can't be something that just the people who formally work with us get. This is such important information, and it impacts all of us because let's be honest, we're all getting older, right? We're all aging. And so many of us are aging so much faster than we need to be or that we should be. And we got to talk about it. We have to talk about this. So we are doing a book study in our membership group around glucose, around blood sugar, which is the core of what we talk about at Disruptive Nutrition, knowing that the diets that put us at a deficit, I always say, since when does anything flourish in a deficit, they never take into account blood sugar stabilization. And yet, right now in America, 88% of deaths are due to a metabolic disease. That's almost 9 out of 10 people. What's a metabolic disease? High blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes. 1 out of 2 people are pre-diabetic, obesity, stroke, cancer. All of that actually can be attributed to a dysregulated blood sugar. But with a diet, we are constantly putting our blood sugar on this crazy roller coaster. We're not fueling it correctly. We're a refuel as you go machine. And how many of you have done fasting? Well, when we fast, it's like driving our car with no gas. Doesn't make sense. I always say, let's look at the word breakfast. Break it up into 2 words and write this in. If you're listening live, put this in the comments, or if you're listening on replay, put the word break down in the comments. It's the first part of breakfast. And then put down the second part. Fast. Break fast. Sleeping is our fasting. Sleeping is when we get to absorb all those amazing nutrients that we had, that we get to just regenerate ourselves, our body, all of it. And then when we wake up, we then become that machine, like a car that's driving, and we have to fuel it. So fasting actually is just a fancy word of restricting calories. And of course, it doesn't take into consideration blood sugar stabilization. And there are so many things that I have really realized about this in the last 10 years, but part of it really had to do with what I know now compared to what I knew 10 years ago. My methodology hasn't changed, but my urgency has. So let me tell you what I mean. And then we're going to really get into how we are getting older, faster, and what we can do about it. It's like that fountain of youth in some ways. There is no fountain of youth. Well, actually, maybe there is. And while I have been talking about blood sugar stabilization for years, we haven't really gone into it in this type of way. And so super excited, super excited. The book that we're doing in our book study is called Glucose Revolution. And it really outlines by a bioscientist so many aspects of blood sugar research recently and just understanding our bodies more. So let me take you back 10 years ago when I was in a really bad place with my health. What prompted me was when I had a 5 and 6-year-old talking about calories. My 2 girls were talking about calories, and I knew that I was not doing right by them. I didn't know what to do because I had, while clearly been, dieting and teaching kids without knowing it, things that they should and shouldn't be doing. It was just societal norms. You're supposed to take in less calories than you burn. Like, I didn't think I was doing anything outrageous. I just thought I was doing everything everybody else did. Eat less, and you're binging and you can't control it. And all it just, the obsession about food was what I thought everybody did. Didn't help that I had an eating disorder coming out of college, but I just felt like it was that natural process that every single person I knew was going through. And so when I heard my kids talking about calories, because I wouldn't eat the pizza, and when they wanted to know why, when we had family pizza night, it was because it had too many calories in it. I decided to do something about it. So I went to a gym. because that's what I knew to do. Like, I just have to exercise more. And I speak all around the country and I ask them, what do you have to do to be healthier or to lose weight or whatever it is that you want to do when you reach your goals? And inevitably they all say, well, I have to exercise more and eat better. And yes, that is, yes, but there's a whole bunch of the equation that people just don't understand. And I was absolutely one of them. So I go to a gym, and I went to a gym for a year. And I should say, I went to the gym once. I hated it, didn't go back for 6 months. And I went to a gym with the trainer that I still work out with today. And he tells that story still all the time. But anyway, I just thought I needed to move my body more. Well, then a nutrition coach came to the gym and started introducing the concept of our body being a refuel as you go machine, and that we needed to eat and we didn't need to count calories. And he brought up the idea of, what do you think is more correct, eating an apple or pizza with chicken? And I was like, wait, what? I don't eat the pizza. I would eat the apple because it has less calories and it's also healthier. Yes, it's healthier, but it can also spike our blood sugar. Spike our what? So when he started talking about that, it was so fascinating to me because nobody had ever said this kind of stuff before. So I dove in and started working with him. Why? Because I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to get strong. I wanted to be lean. All of it mattered, right? That was the most important thing. Well, I have since done a lot of work on myself, and anybody that is a client with me now knows that that is not the end goal. Because I ended up reaching my goals by learning how to eat this way. And I was like in a whole new obsession, looking around like, okay, I'm here. And I became even more obsessed with my body and food, so afraid to lose it. It was so unhealthy. And yet, as a behavior specialist, I knew about mindset, and I realized your mindset is so out of whack. This was years of me like dealing with this, And I think what I didn't realize, what I didn't have as a why, was my true optimal health, like really not looking a certain way. That shouldn't be the end goal. Because I realized once I did, it didn't matter. It's like what they say about people that have a lot of money, like money can't buy happiness. And then I always used to say, like, well, give me money and I'll tell you, or let me just try that out. It's like, give me that body and I'll just tell you. Let me just give me that body and then I'll tell you. Well, I had it and it was totally true. Like, it didn't. I actually became more obsessed, became more insane about things. And I didn't have a deep why. I didn't really get into what was so important about keeping my body strong and lean and healthy, because it was all about my ego. It was all about me looking a certain way so I could impress other people, so I could show that I had more value. I don't know. But when I really started getting support and help with my own thinking, my own why, my own purpose, being intentional, and what I truly wanted out of my life for me, for my girls, I realized it was so much more than what my body looked like on the outside, because on the inside, I was still dying. And I realized so clearly that it was about pleasing others and it was ego. When in all reality, if it was truly coming from my heart, truly coming from a deep place of wanting to be healthy for real reasons, well, then that was really going to make the difference. And as I have gone through this journey and learned that blood sugar stabilization is not just about being able to weigh a certain amount on a scale. In fact, it's not about that at all. It's not even about how much weight I could lift in the gym, because I remember 7 days into eating in the way that I did. Now, mind you, my coach did not teach us about eating healthy. He taught us about how to eat balanced. So our blood sugar was balanced, but I did not eat healthy. Like potato chips and turkey were my go-to. Again, all doing it for the wrong reasons. But I remember when I did my first pull-up and I was so proud of myself for doing that. That was like the goal. That was the thing. But as I have learned, blood sugar stabilization is actually what saves our lives. If 9 out of 10 people right now are dying out of metabolic disease, and the root cause of every single metabolic disease is a dysregulated blood sugar, It is so much more than a weight loss option. It is so much more than even just being fit in the gym. It is about saving your life. When I talk to women, I get so urgent for them because I see the direction we're going in. I will talk to women in their 50s that honestly look like they're in their 70s. I will talk to women in their 30s that look like they're in their 50s. And when I understand how they've been eating, how they've been serving their body, how they've been showing up for themselves or not, I realize we are aging faster. I started this journey 10 years ago. And with every time I look at pictures, first of all, I look at a person who was so broken, but I also look at an older woman 10 years ago. Then I feel, and then I look now. Fountain of youth? Maybe. But let's dig into the science as to why. I mentioned the book study that we're doing, The Glucose Revolution, and it's a really powerful book. I have it right here. And the reason why it's so powerful is because it's really based in science. Now, I will say that she gives so much about why this matters and gives us some great hacks. But hacks do not make a lifestyle. So I need people not to think, oh, I'm just going to go buy this book and then this is going to answer all my questions about what to do. She's not a nutritionist. It's not the full picture, but it is huge. And as we think about aging, we think about, well, it's just inevitable. As we get older, we get wrinkly and, we slow down, our joints and our bones hurt, our metabolism slows down. It's not actually necessarily true. Dr. Mark Hyman talks about this all the time. I just did a training with him recently, and he talks about our lifespan versus our health span. And we are learning more and more now around all of this science that suggests that if pretty much 9 out of 10 people are dying from a metabolic disease, all stemming from a dysregulated blood sugar in their 60s and 70s, then if we could actually be proactive with that, couldn't we actually extend our lifespan? The theory is yes. And it makes a lot of sense because the things that she talks about in this book, so I actually just highlighted a bunch of stuff and we've gone over this with our clients. Like it's just been an amazing study. But let me share a little bit about why we are aging based on how we are living. So when we have blood sugar spikes, we release glucose. So this is the reason why carbs get such a bad name, because carbs spike our blood sugar. Yep, it's fact, it's knowledge. And a lot of times people are like, well, I don't know if this will work for me. If you have blood in your system and you're human, your blood sugar needs to be stabilized. Carbs will impact you like it impacts me. It impacts everybody. But carbs also fuel our brain. They give us energy. There's only 3 macronutrients: protein, fats, and carbs. We need them all. To think that we should just get rid of one entirely is false. The thing is, so much of our food today is so carb heavy. And even when we're eating healthy, we can go over it with the carbs and spike our blood sugar. So we know that we need a balance. We need to understand more about food. And the fact is that when we eat carbs, either all by themselves or when we overdo a carbs, this is why we eat PFC every 3. It's a whole science around balancing our blood sugar with macronutrients. Super simple. But at the end of the day, carbs, people are afraid of carbs. And society has taught us to be afraid of carbs. But we don't have to be afraid of carbs. We know that it spikes our blood sugar, but it gives us the energy that we need. But when we do have a glucose spike, because we haven't paired our food with proteins and fats, or because we have overdone it on carbs, or because we're eating a whole lot of processed food with excess sugar that just totally throws off our system and spikes our glucose, sugary drinks, for example, we don't even realize it, but giving your kid a Gatorade, it's one of the most blood sugar spiking things that you can do. And it matters when you're a kid. It matters when you're an adult. The difference is the longer you've been doing it, the more and more it impacts your aging and your health. So we start off with kids. This is why so many kids just crave sugar all the time. And then it continues on and on and on and on. So let's dig into when we actually spike our blood sugar. There's lots and lots of things that happen, but we're only going to talk about one small piece of it. When we spike our blood sugar, our body actually goes through what's called glycation. And that's what she talks about in the book, glucose revolution. And it was actually one of a scientist back in, gosh, let me look at my notes, 1912, a French scientist realized the concept of glycation and how it causes our body to toast. Put toast in the comments if you're with me here, because this is a really interesting concept. When babies are born, their ribs are like bright white. And when we go and look at, somebody that died in their 90s, their bones, their ribs are actually brown. Our body is literally toasting as we get older. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. But what we are doing is causing that toasting to occur so much faster. So every time that we spike our blood sugar, and that glucose comes out and there's excess glucose, our body can only take so much. We're a refuel as you go machine, but once we've overdone it, kind of given ourselves too much, then it's just sort of like hanging out in our body. That's a very simplified version of it. And it does a whole lot of things. It releases free radicals. Free radicals are like little lightning bolts that actually zap everything it touches. And so if it zaps all of our cells, it zaps everything. It causes oxidative stress in our body, and that is a nightmare. It is a cause of cancer. It is a cause of inflammation, all sorts of things, all stemming from because we have too much glucose in our system that our body cannot use as energy. At the same time, when that happens, our body will go through something called glycation. And glycation is when we've got that extra glucose kind of floating around in our cells. We literally, when I look at this, I'm looking at a picture right now as I'm going in here of toast and a picture of toast that's all the way to when it's black. When it's black, that's when we die. And we can't stop this process, but we are absolutely speeding it up. The more glucose that we deliver to our body, the more this glycation happens, and glycation is toasting. So our body is literally toasting as we spike our blood sugar. And so if we have been doing this for decades, it is impacting our skin because our cells, I just talked about oxidative stress, all that extra glucose has to go somewhere, and it's not really where our body thrives. And so we know that it causes premature aging, like wrinkles, joint and bone pain, and joint health, as well as just true, like our organs failing, disease, all of that. And so when I talk to women that are in their 30s and they look like they're in the 40s or 50s, or in their 50s, they look like they're in the 60s and 70s, I think the train is going. You are on the A train. We're all on the A train, but yours is going so fast that we have to slow it down, or it's a math equation. 2 + 2 = 4. And if you're gaining weight, if you have cravings, if you're not sleeping well, if you're literally feeling like you're 20 years older than you are, it is not just because you're tired because of a busy life. It is because you're glycating. You're toasting from the inside out. Now, we can't really untoast a piece of bread, but our body is amazing at being able to regenerate and heal. And it takes us understanding how blood sugar stabilization can be a part of our life, how keeping our blood sugar stabilized in the way that we teach truly gives us the chance to be able to extend our health span, not just our lifespan. And the reason why this is so meaningful to me is because when I first started out on this journey, it was about weight loss. It was about how I looked. And that will not sustain you for a long period of time, because eventually it's hard to do something forever. How many times have you ever said, I know what to do, I just don't do it? My passion is that not only do I share skills around time management and mindset, which all impacts our ability to do something for the long term, but also to understand our bodies more, because when we know something, we can't unknow it. And when we realize how traumatic it is to not know how to balance our blood sugar, to not understand that what we're doing to our bodies every day is aging it faster and faster and faster. It's leading us down a path that 9 out of 10 people are now a victim of: early disease and death. We could be living to like 120 years old. We really can. I want to die an old lady in her bed. It's like I want to die young, but in a long time from now, later. And the only way that's going to happen is if we understand what our bodies really need. Blood sugar stabilization is not something trendy. And in fact, Mark McDonald, who first really developed the foundational concept of how we eat, eating PFC every 3, we call it PFC 3. It's a small piece of it. It's the foundation of it. That was more than 20 years ago. You guys, this is rooted in science. But what's so amazing about books like The Glucose Revolution, the work that Mark Hyman does around blood sugar stabilization, and what we know around the fact that so many people are dying from a metabolic disease, that 1 out of 2 people are pre-diabetic, where it's all coming from, and how more than 70% of people at a given time are on a diet, and yet we're dying at a faster and faster rate. Like, that stuff doesn't add up. But when we understand what's happening to our body when we don't focus on blood sugar stabilization, then the solution is easy. When we can actually focus on what our body needs, everything gets better. Everything. And now I show up at the gym, I show up for my kids, I show up for myself and my body, not because now I'm obsessed with what my body looks like. Now I'm obsessed with actually being on this earth for as long as possible so that I can go do the things that I know I was supposed to do. There's a reason why behind my desk it says know your value. One of our mindset coaches in our membership group is Jeanette Van Leer, and she always says a crumpled up $100 bill is just as valuable as a crisp, clean new one. We have a huge life to live. It's so much more than a number on a scale. But if you are not truly invested in understanding how to die young later, then your lifespan will never match your health span. You might have 70 years. We should all have much more. But if you're on that path, it's not going to be a quality of life that you want. And if I can encourage you at all, I want you to think about so many of you that come to us. We do calls with women every single day, free calls to talk to women about their journey and where they are. Develop a plan so you leave with steps. And almost every single time we talk to women, they tell us, I don't want to do to my kids what's happening with my parents right now. I don't want that to be the story. It doesn't have to be. But you got to understand that if you keep going the way you're going, it's a math equation. Not only are you not going to be able to reach your goals and serve your purpose, but you're not going to be on this earth for longer, as long as you should be. We are aging rapidly, and we can slow down that age train. I see it with my clients every single day. So we don't want to be glycating. We don't want to be toasting. Do you guys know that your A1C levels, if 1 out of 2 people are pre-diabetic, your A1C levels, which we see all the time coming down when we work with our clients, first of all, you have about an 80% chance of dementia if you have diabetes. So just thinking that medication is going to be fine and you can do whatever you want is not okay, because not only there's no way you're going to heal it, you are absolutely on the path of metabolic disease and metabolic death, but also at a much, much, much higher rate, almost guaranteed, of having dementia. That is not a health span. That might be a lifespan, but not a health span, right? Your A1Cs are really measuring over the last 3 months how many cells have glycated, how fast you're toasting. Now, we can reverse that story if you understand that it isn't about the weight on the scale. That comes, the math equation I was talking about, when you focus on understanding blood sugar stabilization, when you focus on eating in threes and truly, truly serving your body, not looking at food as good or bad, but looking at it as I get to serve my body. And then I have to also serve my soul, because otherwise that's not living, that no food is bad, but we have to understand how food serves us or doesn't serve us, and then make choices based on that. And we can do incredible things with our life. It has to be more than the weight on the scale. The math equation goes one way or the other. And if you're on a train that's fast when it comes to your age, you feel a lot older than you should, you are at risk of metabolic disease. You can turn that train around and you can get on the train that we're on. That math equation slows down the age train and expands your health span, not just your lifespan. So I know I want to die young, much, much later. What about you? What do you want to do? I highly encourage you getting the book, The Glucose Revolution. Also recognizing, though, not so much a lifestyle, but hacks. And if you want to get on a call with us, talk to us. I always say, if you want something different, you got to do something different. What we do is different. From the minute you connect with us, you will see we are all about relationships. We are not about just selling people. In fact, we have so many calls a day, we couldn't even possibly offer our services to every single person we talk to. A lot of people aren't ready. They're just looking for something. But we want to know who you are and help lead you on a path to truly dying younger, but later. I first heard that by Dr. Mark Hyman, and I thought that was just genius. So genius. So tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you're taking away from this. The age train is going, and if you're on the speed train for it, it's going to impact everything, and I don't want that to be the case for you. So let me know what you're thinking. Let's get on a call. And wherever you are in your journey, remember, there is a place for you here at Disruptive Nutrition. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you later.